It is that time. SDH AM. John, hear you there. Thanks for coming on as you always do. Yes, we are going to talk about what happened last night in Orlando. And Mike Gramajo visited us before he went into West TV in the city. He had Dayside this week. So we'll catch up with Mike. We'll go through all the things, and we will go over what happened last night in Open Cup. It's going to be another Red Clay wrap-up day today. We've got a lot of coaches from around the state joining us in both hours. Justin O'Steen from Pike County joining us in a couple of minutes. Rob Husted set to join us at 9:30. Jason Galt set to join us at 10:30. Benjamin Parker from Savannah Art set to join us at 10:45. Lucas Kimmel from Thomasville on the girls' side is going to join us in added time. We're efforting Dylan Butler, and we will see if it's okay if Dylan is not the busiest man in the Northeast, that he can join us at 10 o'clock. And that's the rundown. We still got news to get into, a lot of stuff with Southampton, the NASL and the lawsuit, and IFAB and a clock when it comes to starting and stopping. We'll get into all of that as we kind of drift in and out. We've also got Arsenal on a title. I know that Bart wanted to come in and discuss things that might have to be an added time, and we'll figure it all out. So that's where we are today. Another supersized show, probably having another one of those tomorrow as we continue what's going on this week. All right, no dilly, no dally. Let me bring in Justin O'Steen from Pike and discuss the things. Where is the trophy, sir?
Last I saw it, I took it to the front office so they could put it in the trophy cabinet. So I'm not exactly.
And yes, now it's time for the freezing. All right, so hang on just a second.
I'm sorry, I keep getting disconnected for some reason.
Yeah, it's what browser are you using to tap in?
I think Google, but I could be wrong.
Okay, because Restream was telling me it's like, well, if you use a certain one, what kind of phone do you have?
Chrome. Oh, see, you're going to people to make fun of me now. I have Samsung, so.
Oh, I mean, is it iOS or Android?
Android.
Okay, Google Chrome is what they're recommending, and dedicated Wi-Fi connection as well. Because I was having these issues and folks were freezing, and that's what they're telling me. So Google Chrome Google Chrome and on use a dedicated Wi-Fi connection. That's what they're saying. So Google Chrome and Wi-Fi is what they're saying if you're using your phone. So yep,
can
no
you hear
worries.
me?
Yeah, you're good. I got you.
Okay. For some reason the volume went down. I can barely hear you.
Weird. That's I'll speak up. That's perfectly cool with me.
Yeah.
So you think you know where the trophy is? You think it's up front?
Yeah, it's more than likely in the trophy case.
And we'll continue efforting as we go here. So you think so? Yeah, I know it's sometimes it's very, very moody and firewalls and cement and all this kind of stuff. So what's the response been like back there in Zebulon?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What's the response been like in Zebulon with the title?
Oh, everybody's been celebrating. I guess it really hasn't hit me or the girls yet, but pretty nice to go back to back. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good. I was gonna say you don't have a laptop or a desktop or anything near you.
No, let me try to connect to our Wi-Fi, but
yeah,
they have so many filters on this thing. I really don't think it's going to work.
Well, we'll give it a shot. I'll go ahead. I'll put you back in the studio space, and we can go there. So I will put you there, and we'll catch up with Coach O'Steen, and let's see if he gives me a thumbs up, and we'll bring him back in. So. Justin, when you think you're ready, give me a thumbs up and I'll bring you back in and we'll keep talking. All right. So 2 thumbs up from Justin. Okay. All right. So we talked about what it was like this particular ride. How hard is it to go back to back?
Hold on a second. I think I figured out the volume. How hard is it to go back to back? With this group, I don't necessarily. I mean, of course, it was hard, but this is what I expected that we would do. Mm-hmm. It's just a great group of girls.
When I mention this group of seniors to you, what comes in your mind?
Well, I only had one, and she was injured all year. So,
Um,
yeah.
did anything? What was the most pleasant surprise from this year for you?
uh, the most pleasant surprise was probably the ability for our freshmen to step in and fill roles that seniors left last year.
And when you go back and look at this season in particular, what has it been like from day one when you walked in the door to take over the program to now? What has it been like to see the program, and what has it been like how has it evolved, and what's it been like to see it evolve over time?
Oh wow, that's a big question. I say when I first started teaching here, I was the JV boys and JV girls head coach,
Mhm.
and I had no idea what I was doing. I had played soccer a little bit or whatnot, and we practiced together. Played I don't know how many games with that group of JV girls. We played several games with only 9 players,
Wow.
and won a few of them, which was crazy. I had a good little group then, but just the what am I trying to say? I guess the popularity of the sport in this town
Mhm.
uh, has definitely grown and increased, and I don't know if necessarily I have anything to do with it. I think it's just a sport that girls like to play, and they have a good opportunity to play on a good team. So more kids and more kids continue to sign up and play at the our rec department or on the little club team here in town. Some girls travel outside of the county to play on other club teams, but oh, it's been crazy. I don't know if you know this, but I played soccer here when I was in high school.
Mhm.
It was the first team. You know, we started the team in I guess 90ish or somewhere around there.
Mhm.
And we weren't very good. The girls, they finally got a girls team in I would assume 96 ish, maybe somewhere around in there. But when I first started playing, we had 2 girls on the boys team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy.
So, if I was to ask you in your mind, what is the most important thing about high school soccer in your mind here in the state of Georgia? What is it?
Uh, the biggest thing in high school soccer, and the club soccer as well, I guess, just to provide a way for kids who possibly can't afford to go to college to go to college.
Mhm.
It also, gives you teamwork and hard work and, you know, anything being an athlete, you have to make sacrifices and, uh, you might not be able to go to the parties or, hang out with friends like you need to, if you want to be a good teammate, I guess. But I guess soccer provides just the biggest thing is just provides a way for kids to get an education.
So then, if I was to ask you if there's one thing that you'd like to change or update, considering that you're an alumnus, you've been there, you know what it means in Zebulon and in Pike, and now that you've been coaching there and you're winning championships, is there one thing about high school soccer that you would either update or change? What would that be?
Oh, well, this has just recently happened in the past couple of years. The postseason rankings, I like the idea, but you get some weird matchups. Uh, I'll just take for example our first round matchup with Josie. Uh, in the postseason rankings, they were I want to say 52nd out of 54 teams. I don't know why the teams ahead of them didn't get chosen, but the postseason rankings, I feel like they're good in a way, but if you take teams like I mean like us for example, I'm trying to think. who I had this conversation with the other day. I can't remember who it was I had the conversation with, but you try to play teams that are going to push you and make you better,
Right.
and you may end up with a loss. And then you have some teams who only play teams in their region who have really good records and end up placed really high in the postseason rankings, and they probably didn't deserve to be there. I would also change the fact that in the postseason, in the brackets, you could end up playing two region opponents to start the first and second round of playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like our boys last year, we finished ahead of Jackson in the region, but then we had to go play there at their place for the first round of playoffs. And, which was weird. And if we had won that game, we would have had to play Morgan County the next round, which, to me, I feel like they should figure out a way to keep you from playing a region opponent until the quarters or semifinals, maybe.
So,
yeah,
no, I get that completely, because we've seen, like, in Champions League, where you're not going to be playing any one of the top 4 teams until at least the Final Four, and so you don't have one of those kind of statistical meltdowns, I guess, when it comes to figuring out an opponent.
right.
With what you've built there at Pike, and I know that there are, whether it's in region this time, in regions past, or surrounding counties, there are programs that are still trying to build. They're not quite having success to a level that they would like. They're still struggling in trying to get players or have a proper venue, proper amount of respect to the program on the whole, from either the community or the school system or what have you. For those programs that are grinding right now, still trying to find their way, still trying to get enough players where you're not having 9 and you're not, where you're not just playing a match with 9 players. For those programs that are building and trying to grow and are still struggling in wins and losses, what advice would you give those coaches about perseverance and what the program could mean if you stick with it?
Was as far as create, first off, I feel like you have to create some success to get people interested.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing, it takes hard work. Number one, you got to have a group of girls that aren't afraid to work. And I feel like in our county, that's kind of, I won't say, I'm just kind of bred into their genetics, I guess. I don't know. They just like to work hard.
Yeah.
They don't know any other way.
Yeah.
But first off, have some success. So maybe, schedule some teams that are like you, and, so the girls can taste some success.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing is they got to get the kids have to start playing early, work on their ball skill and just be, so many teams that would play that have girls have never played soccer before, but they want to try it out and hopefully they have fun, but sometimes I'm sure it wouldn't be, but the kids have to start playing early.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say they have to only play soccer when they're a kid. It's great to have multi-sport athletes in every sport, but to be good, you have to start playing early, and you have to play in the off season. And you have to play club, without a doubt, and not just club, but for a good team, good coach, mm-hmm. that's going to develop you. To me, that's the biggest thing. The kids need a ball at their feet when they're 3 years old. Get them out there, and every kid has a ball, and just ball skill, but make it fun.
Justin O'Steen, the head coach at Pike County, back-to-back champs on the girls' side. My last question for you: this World Cup that is coming here in less than 30 days,
Right.
When it comes to the impact and its legacy, what would you like for the impact of this World Cup to be and the legacy of this World Cup to be, and how it impacts everything top down here in this hemisphere?
Well, to have a big impact, I feel like that the U.S. men are going to have to have some good results. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do. They haven't had the best build up coming into it,
Right.
but you see hints of them being able to live up to their expectations, I guess. But I feel like to have a big impact, they're going to have to be successful. And I wish they would lower the ticket prices a little bit because I'm not going. Good God.
You could have a big party there on the surface at Pike County High School. You could do
Right.
go into the indoor weight room and have viewing parties all you want.
Right. That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, go to the pizza place downtown, and you could just have it there and blow it out all there. But no, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
One thing I'll say, you asked me what else I would change.
Yeah.
The venues for the championship
Right.
game.
Mm-hmm.
After the day after our game, I went down to Thomaston, which is 15-20 minute drive, and watched the Thomasville and model game,
Right.
girls game. A very good game. But I noticed like the size of the field was like you probably had 12, 15 yards outside of the penalty area on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And where we played, there was maybe 7 yards. I mean, it was pretty narrow.
Yeah.
Great place, but the field was narrow.
Yeah.
I would hope that GHSA would look into, before they decide what venues they're going to use to, look and see how big the field is, because that was a pretty tight space.
Yes. And I believe you played at St. Pius in Northeast Atlanta.
Right.
Okay. I can't thank you enough for ducking in, batting leadoff when you've come in to visit with us and break everything down. Obviously, since we know how to get a hold of you, if there's something going on, we're gonna ring the doorbell and find out what's going on there at Pike County. Thank you for what you're doing there at Pike, what you've been building there at Pike. I know it means a little extra special for you and all these kinds of things. I'm glad you know where the trophy is. I'm glad that you've got the celebrations going. You got the gear and the rings all figured out?
I'm still working on a ring design. I'm still cutting grass right now because I got to keep the field looking right for graduation. But after graduation, there's going to start installing turf, so I won't have to cut grass anymore. But I've been making certificates, and we have a banquet tonight. They just sprung it on us like a day or two after the championship game. We need to do the banquet. Let's do it on this day. Okay. So I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get everything fixed and done. And I need to go round up a box of tissues.
Yes.
So I will definitely shed some tears. But
yes. But once again, thanks for doing this. Have a great banquet. We'll be knocking on your door soon. It's always great to see you and what you're doing down there at Pike County. Thanks,
sir. Thank you for doing what you do as well.
All right. Be safe. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.
There goes Justin O'Steen, the head coach of Pike County. And back to back on the girls' side. Yeah, he got the opportunity to play at St. Pius. A little bit of a tighter surface than most folks, and so Pike County gets a championship again. And so it's that starts off our red clay wrap ups for day number 2. Ricky, as always, being the intrepid producer that he always is, reminds us. Morning Lokeville, by the way, that Uzbekistan is coming to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground starting on June 10. So it is the Uzbekistan Football Association is going to have base camp Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So what we are going to do is we're going to be drifting into a bit of a Uzbek education. And so we're going to be drifting into that as well. So we'll be keeping track of that, and we want to welcome them on June 10th. So it'll be really cool to see what's going on with them there. So yes, morning local, morning Ricky. And as we continue our good mornings, it's time to go to Greenbrier and catch up with Rob Husted and find out what's going on at Greenbrier. So where is the trophy, sir?
I actually put it up in our display case yesterday.
Have you been able to secure its location ever since you won the trophy? Have you been able to keep an eye on it the entire time? Has it kind of wandered off on its own, or have you kind of kept an eye on it? Bless you.
No, it's thank you. It's always been within, I don't want to say arm's reach, but in the same room. It's not something I'm going to let just wander off with people. A lot of the players and parents want to take pictures. So, I brought it out for our end of year banquet and let them do some pictures and stuff like that. But as soon as it was done, it was right back in the display case and safe forever.
Not like the Stanley Cup where everybody gets a day with it. They can do whatever they want with it. And then as long as it returns back to you by the end of it, huh?
No, to be honest, I do not trust high schoolers.
When it was the point that was made on the broadcast, and for those that follow the program, we know what happened with this group of seniors when they were freshmen, going up against Chamblee and the result that was then, and then coming through as seniors and getting the result that happened this year. To see that progression of both the players and the program, what was that like for you to kind of see the progression and have that moment for that senior class?
It was pretty awesome. It was kind of a full circle moment. It's one of those things that every year when our season ends, I always kind of take the seniors off to the side and have a, kind of a last little talk with them. And every year I tell them, it's like, there's only one team that this talk is different around the state. And to have that talk with them and be smiling while we're doing it, it was such an incredible feeling. I was happy for the girls that they were able to come back. I mean, that loss 4 years ago was devastating. It was a brutal game, and it wasn't easy mentally for them to overcome that. But the fact that they came back, they fired, and went right at them. I mean, it was awesome to see them, that maturity, the growth, just the experience of the last 4 years come back into play.
What has it meant to the program and the community with all of that hard work, you get to add another sport that gets another state championship? Because they'd experienced it, some of the players with flag, and they knew what it was like to come out the other side as a state champ. But now you get to add girls soccer to this mix. What has this meant to the community?
It's been pretty huge. So this is actually the Columbia County's first soccer championship in any boys, girls at all. Yep. So to show the rest of the state that, hey, there's some good soccer over here. We have some quality teams. We can play with the best. We're kind of on this remote little island out here by ourselves, and we're not really in the South Georgia, the Savannah area. We don't really have connections to Atlanta. We're kind of just in this no man's land where people forget about us. And it's nice to be able to remind people that, hey, soccer is alive, well, and strong out here. And the community rally. These girls have played there. They've traveled together all over the country for years, and the parents all know each other. The friends and family are all, we got back Wednesday night last week, and we had probably 200, 250 people here waiting at almost midnight, for us to roll in on the bus. And that's amazing. It feels good to have that kind of support from the community and the people around them.
Did you learn anything about yourself this year?
That's a good question.
Whether it was a reaffirmation or something that literally you learned.
I think honestly, what I learned about myself is probably that I've got more in me than I thought I had, because there were times this season that it just, the drag of the season where we're playing 6 games in 10 days in one stretch, and dealing with parents and admin and all the other stuff that every coach out here deals with. And you get to a point where you're like, man, I don't know how long I can do this. I don't have the energy. I'm 40 something years old, and I'm barely holding on as a thread, and now you're adding all this stuff, and I feed off the energy of the teams. It's when they're happy and fun, like it gives me energy to keep going. All right, we got, game 5 of 6 down. Let's go. We get one more in this 10-day stretch and get this thing figured out. Then we can relax and rest. It's, I don't know. It's kind of it's almost a surreal feeling to me. Like the one thing that I took away from this is how much work comes after winning the game. Like there's so much there. And and I'm kind of learning a little bit myself. Like I don't enjoy that part of it. I like the game part of it. I don't enjoy all the other stuff.
Yeah, the logistics and all of the off the field stuff that catches up with you.
Right. Yeah. And it just drains you as a coach. It is so mentally draining some days. And, and every coach will tell you that no matter how magical the season is, we just won the championship. We just got the trophy. There are still people that are upset with me because so-and-so didn't get enough playing time, or so-and-so felt like they got neglected in the mentions, or, and it's like this never ending stream. And it's that stuff that drains you more than anything else. So just finding out like how much I can actually put up with and deal with and keep going it was interesting to me.
When have you had the opportunity to sleep in at all since you got home?
No. Well, I mean, the last Saturday I had a little bit of a sleep in, about an extra hour, and had to get up and take my daughter to gymnastics. But other than that, it's still, I haven't stopped. Today is the last day of testing at school, so hopefully tomorrow I'll get to sleep in a little bit.
There you go. For those coaches and programs, and I'm sure that we see them all around, and East Georgia would be no different, that they're struggling with their programs. You might see it in region play, you might see it in a neighboring county, just from talking to other coaches and things like that. For those programs that are trying to build and find their way to get those players, to where you've got 15 or 16 or 17 players, or might be struggling with it, with trying to fill out a roster, trying to score a goal, win a game, win a region game. What advice would you give those coaches of those programs that are grinding right now, and it seems like the light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train? What advice would you give those coaches of those programs?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is build relationships with the players directly as people, not players. Like kind of going back, I've been around these girls for 4 years, some of these girls for 4 years, and I've gotten to know them really well between, bus trips and benches, sitting on the bench on the sidelines, or, some of them we work together in FCA, or I've had in class, but I know them inside and out very well. And they trust me as their coach. They trust me as a person, as a mentor. And that, I think, was far more valuable than anything I could have ever given them on the field. It's just having that trust. There was a point this season, actually, where we started pretty rough. We had the St. Pius and Marist games and some other, even though other wins came in there, they weren't what we wanted out of the wins. And we kind of had a moment where I just gathered all of them in my classroom. I said, all right, look, I can tell something's not right. Y'all need to tell me. I'm a big boy. I'm an adult. I can handle any criticism. I can handle anything you can say. Nothing you can say I haven't heard before. So hit me with whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And we kind of had a little bit, airing. I won't say airing of grievances, but there was a moment where there's some brutal honesty from them, and I was able to take that in. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm hearing you. Now let me give you the perspective that we as coaching staff have, and this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing that. And then we kind of had how do we kind of meet in the middle with some things. And from that point on, that's when the season really turned. When they fully gave in to that trust to the coaching staff. So it wouldn't have been possible without building those relationships with the people and not the players, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Considering after those first 2 losses, you didn't give up a goal for February 13th for 2 months.
Yeah.
63 days ish. You didn't give up a goal.
Right.
And that goal was given up in the Buford game, which is something that you wanted to schedule anyway because you're outside of region play and you want to get ready for A, the road trips, B, having that kind of quality of competition, to see where you are when you get into the postseason and you're going up against Clark Central and Johns Creek, Laster Pope, et cetera. You did that on purpose after not giving up a goal for 63 days. I mean, that's insane to think about that you were able to do that after that, coming together, closed door meeting, what have you, and turn things around the way that you guys did.
Yeah, it goes back to that trust, just having that trust with the players, and giving them an opportunity to voice. There's a lot of teams that I've been a part of, I've been a coach of, and realized after the fact that I didn't give the players enough voice in what they wanted and what they felt and what direction they wanted to go. I just said, this is what we're going to do because this is what I think as a coach is best for us. And if you don't like it, tough, you can sit the bench. And that's not the way to run a team. That's a way to run a team, but obviously it wasn't the right way for us. So just given them a chance to literally just say whatever was on their mind. And I told them, I was like, y'all, there's nothing off limits. If you don't like the way I dress, tell me, or something. It was stupid stuff like that. Just kind of trying to lighten the mood a little bit. But it was like, anything that you guys need to get off your chest, now's the time. And them having the freedom to do that, I think allowed them a lot more freedom to play loosely on the field. It was a lot more energetic. They were much more connected as a team than they were before that point.
How has the sport grown since you showed up there at Greenbrier?
So my first year here was one of those kind of trial by fire hose moments. It was my first time as a head coach. I've been coaching for 20-something years, but never as a head coach. So getting that opportunity was kind of crazy. But just give you raw numbers. Like from tryouts, I had 108 boys come out for tryouts in January.
Wow.
And, I can keep 45-ish. And that number just keeps getting bigger. And it's kind of wild to think about, the number of club teams around here is growing. There's, we have the ECNL and the Arsenal and the Bulls and all, like they're just growing and getting bigger every time too. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome to watch. I love seeing it. I wish it was one of the things that I wish it had happened, 30 years ago when I was playing. Maybe it'd have been, a bit bigger, but seeing it now, I couldn't be happier for the sport, for the club, for the school, all of it.
So then when you talk about the impact that it can have on just high school soccer in general, in your mind, what's the most important thing about high school soccer here in the state of Georgia?
Most important thing to me, I don't know if this is kind of where you want to go with it, but to me, honestly, it's recognizing that for a lot of these players, it's the last time they're ever going to play.
Yeah.
And giving them the opportunity to enjoy that time, to put them in the best position they can succeed. That's my most important thing as a coach, and what I want to see out of soccer here at Greenbrier and in Georgia in general. And I've talked to a couple of the other coaches, and they're very similar beliefs, that like most of these people will never play again. I've got 3 out of 9 seniors that are going to play again. That's 33% odds. That's a big signing class too. Mm-hmm. So I want to send them off into the world with good remembrances of soccer. I want them to go, I love playing soccer in high school. Maybe I could get into coaching. Maybe I can get my child into playing and grow the sport more. I don't want them leaving here going, I hated my senior year. I hated the last 2 years I played in high school. My kid will never play. I will never be around it. I will never support it. Like, that's the last thing we want as coaches. We want to grow the sport, not shrink it.
So then if there was one thing that you could tweak, change, address, whatever, what would that one thing be that you'd like to sit there and see changed or have changed, what have you?
I think more input from the coaches when large scale decisions are made would be good. I think having a way to standardize or better standardize refereeing or clarifying certain things with it. There's a lot of points in the season where, myself, other coaches, where we're just frustrated because we don't know what the call was, how it was handled or anything. And then we get back together after the game and I talk to them. They're like, "Do you know what happened?" I said, "Nah, I have no idea what happened. Do you?" No clue. Didn't look like it, didn't look like a foul to me. Yeah, it didn't look like it happened to me either. So just having that kind of clarity, I think, would be great. Maybe, having some kind of, I don't want to say after action report, but, just a quick, like, one-liner type thing of, hey, this foul was committed at this time. This is what the infraction was for, or something like that. But but also at the same time to help keep some accountability on the referee side to make sure their standards keep going up. I know a lot of the struggles that we have comes outside of the field, the boundaries of the field and the bench. It comes from the stands, comes from the admin and stuff. Some of that stuff, I don't know how to handle that. I don't know how to deal with an unruly parent who's shouting from the stands on the other side of the field, but it does affect the game. It affects the players, affects me, affects the referees, like everything. So getting some, uniform way to fix that or address that, would be great.
And then my probably next to last question, World Cup. With the World Cup coming in less than a month, what would you like the impact and legacy of the World Cup to be going forward?
I just want it to be positive. The world soccer right now does not have a great name. There's from, the World Cup in Qatar was not handled in the best way, and is it being handled the best way in the United States? We don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. I just want the United States in general to come out of this with a positive reflection of it and not a negative impression of a bunch of, to use the colloquialism, is the grass fairies that we hear all the time as soccer players. How many times have you heard somebody talk about, all soccer players just flop, they just fake, and I don't want to see all that. I want to see good quality soccer that somebody that has never played before can look at and say, that's a beautiful game. I want to play that game. I want to try that thing. I don't want to have an experience where it's, everybody's going, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to do that. That's boring. It's, 90 minutes of no action and a lot of flopping and crying for nothing. We got several of the games right here in our backyard in Atlanta. I want to be able to go over there and have a good experience. I don't know if I'll get to one of the games, but I want to hear about somebody who went there and said that was awesome. Being in that environment was incredible. Being seen and feeling the nationalism, whether it was the United States or other countries' fans. That's what the World Cup is about. Support your country, supporting the fandom of your team, your home team, and to have that ruined by either controversy or bad play or too many guys flopping around on the ground, like that to me, that hurts the sport more than anything else.
Did you get your rings and your gear all figured out? What
you're
doing?
So we have designs on the rings. We have that was one of those things. I didn't realize how much work goes into it. It's like I figured, hey, somebody just give me one. Like, no, you got to pick the design, you got to pick the colors, you got to pick what's on it, and all these other things. And I was like, mind blown. The T-shirts and the news stations and all the other things that go with it. Like I said, it's just a almost never-ending stream of things to get done. I think we're finally winding down. I have all the designs figured out, have more or less completed all the interview requests and stuff like that. So hopefully I have a chance to relax here soon.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being on with us as much as you have as the season has gone on, because we always like to see what's going on in and around the state, not just, inside a perimeter or anything like that. We cover the global game, but we just happen to be based in Atlanta, and can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing out there out east. And it's always great to see you. Great to see you in person. And yeah, we got your 27 schedules figured out.
I think most of it. I could use one or two more games for the girls, but winning the state championship kind of deters some people from that, especially with the new PSR coming. So I'm getting a lot of, well, maybe if nothing else comes up, we can work something out type of answers right now. But we're getting in there. We're figuring it out.
Okay, because then the coaches that we've been talking to, some are looking for road games and things like that, and so we may try to try and combine resources here. We might
Send
try
them
to
my way. I'm happy to.
Might try to broker some games here for 27.
Love it.
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Catch your breath and maybe get in a nap. Set the alarm for a little, like an hour or two later on Saturday. It's always great to see you, Rob.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everything this year.